discuss together the important topic, the differences between your higher self and spiritual guides. Your soul includes both a higher part and a lower part. When learning to harmonize with your higher nature, you will discover your own unique melody and beauty. From there, you will recognize and understand your higher self more clearly. What you are most interested in is how to connect with your higher self or spiritual guides. In other words, that is the creativity you will become in the future. Part 3 of Soul Unification will bring you many interesting things in the next 30 minutes. Higher self and spiritual guides. Every sovereign being in the universe is multidimensional and has both lower and higher aspects. Your higher aspect can connect with the higher aspects of other souls. Regardless of whether they are in human bodies or have passed away. Even sovereign beings from other worlds or dimensions. As you develop and evolve, it is very important to distinguish between different types of soul energies, including the levels and dimensions in which that energy operates. This is especially important when seeking advice from your higher self or spiritual guides. How to distinguish between the higher aspect of your soul and the aspect of another soul. Although ultimately, all souls are part of a single being. Within that being are countless variations and unique patterns of light. When you pursue soul evolution, you will enter a state of mind where every being entering your space is suitable to support you on your journey. In essence, this is always true. There are times when your soul lessons involve developing the ability to use discernment. In other words, sometimes there are souls that are not suitable, and you need to ask them to leave. If you don't know the differences between the levels and dimensions of various beings, it will be difficult to know who to keep and who to let go. Let's start with the differences between your higher self and spiritual guides. If you understand this difference, you will easily recognize who and what is suitable for you. Sometimes your subconscious intervenes and tries to convince you that you are connecting with one or more special beings, while in reality, it is your own subconscious connecting with you. This means you also need to distinguish between your subconscious and your higher self. Going further, the subconscious can convince you that a lower-level soul is actually an enlightened master, or an entity from a higher dimension. Therefore, it is also necessary to discuss the differences between your subconscious and lower-level souls, all discarnate entities. So, we will explore all these topics in the following sections. Don't forget to subscribe to the Dark Truth Files channel to be the first to receive this information on Mindfulness. Returning to the content, when following the path of evolution, you will learn to recognize the soul signature of every being you encounter. Now you can use the test we provide to indicate the differences between vibration levels, thereby distinguishing types of beings. Ask yourself the following questions when connecting with a being or thought form. Does this being or energy serve my spiritual development? Do I feel more vibrant and understanding in the presence of this being or energy? Does this being or energy encourage me to make my own decisions? Does this being or energy give me space to walk on my own 2 feet? How do I feel after connecting with this being or energy? You can request that any perfect and suitable being or energy be allowed into your personal space. Conversely, any unsuitable and imperfect being or energy can be asked to leave your space temporarily or permanently. The following information will help distinguish between your higher self and spiritual guides. First, spiritual guides almost always introduce themselves by name or title. Usually in the first sentence, for example, "Hello, beloved creators. We are the creators, while your higher self rarely introduces itself. If it does, it will simply say that I am the higher understanding of a person known as Sean. Second, spiritual guides only come when they're called upon or prayed to. You can see them during meditation and establish a connection with them. They may be present in your space, simply to check on or observe you. But they rarely initiate dialogue, unless there is an urgent need to intervene, which your soul has already agreed to on some level. In other words, your higher self is always present and will often intervene if you have regularly called upon them. When you learn to meditate regularly and use the power of prayer, you will notice the difference in energy between your higher self and spiritual guides. For this reason, a higher self appears as a beautiful golden light, brilliant, similar to the loving, brilliant golden light of God. Meanwhile, his spiritual guides have different colors, patterns, and textures. However, here we also have loving spiritual guides and unloving ones. Loving spiritual guides tend to see you as equals, not speaking down to you, or acting in a superior or judgmental manner. If a being appears to judge you, ask that being to leave, or ensure your own ego is not connecting with it. Quickly, we will mention specific prayers to help prevent unloving spiritual guides from entering your space. If you are clairvoyant, you will notice that loving spiritual guides appear in the third eye, often with gentle colors. They will send a soft and peaceful energy into your energy body, while unloving spiritual guides may include darker colors, along with a feeling of chaos, frenzy, and heaviness. In some cases, you may feel cold or goosebumps in the presence of an unloving spiritual guide. There are many variations when a higher self and spiritual guides come to you. There are times when spiritual guides will overshadow an earth soul. This may be due to soul agreement, or they may be unloving guides. It may also involve partial or full possession. Truly loving spiritual guides wish to give you the necessary space to learn your soul lessons. They will not try to force you to do anything, and they will be careful not to overshadow you or enter the inner parts of your aura field. As usual, there are exceptions to the general principles of commitment between Earth souls and spiritual guides, including circumstances where the higher self of one being may exchange itself with the higher self of another being. In the following episodes, we will look at the different ways spiritual guides can interact with Earth souls, including an examination of possessions and entity attachments, situations where souls may merge and blend into your own soul energy. Contacting the higher self. Your higher self includes all levels and dimensions of the self above the seventh level. It includes the soul, the oversoul, the monad, the Christ self, or the Buddha self, the individual higher self, and the universal higher self. For the purpose of simplification, we will refer to all these levels together as the higher self. The simplest way to call upon the higher self is to imagine a golden light coming from the heavens and entering the crown of your head. We commonly know this as the seventh chakra. You can then imagine this golden light moving down through all the chakras and parts of the physical body, healing, cleansing, and purifying all your cells. Then it continues moving down both legs and exits through your feet. If you are sitting, you can visualize this energy leaving your body at the base chakra, which is the first chakra, and entering the earth. When you call upon your higher self, the higher aspects of your soul are merging or blending with the lower aspects, helping the lower aspects align. Thus, you can integrate multiple soul aspects more easily. There are many factors affecting your ability to maintain connection with your higher self. The goal of most spiritual teachings is to help you remove the red barriers. It is not enough to only teach about higher guard. If you have a lot of negative emotions, negative thoughts, and negative beliefs, then it would be like trying to teach integral calculus to elementary students, or using a better analogy is trying to teach enlightenment to someone suffering from hunger. If you feed him first, he would likely have more energy and focus necessary to receive the values from your teachings. Thus, healing and cleansing the levels of the self is absolutely necessary before you can fully receive the higher frequencies entering your earth life. Most of you reading this have participated in the healing process at one time or another. And that is why we can now give you some more detailed information about the deeper nature of the soul and its variations. Contact with spiritual guides. Generally, spiritual guides fall into several types, levels, and dimensions. Soul family members are helping you remember who you are. Their purpose is to help you connect with your higher self. Soul family includes your twin flame, primary soul family members, secondary soul family members, and extended soul family members. Souls not belonging to your soul family are assigned to work with you in this life because they have specific information important to the lessons your soul wants to learn. These include your personal spiritual guides and guardian angels. Souls from higher dimensions have volunteered to be your teachers. These can include enlightened guides who have been in physical form in this life or in a past life, as well as ascended masters, angels, archangels, and enlightened extraterrestrials suitable for helping you grow and evolve. Members of your own soul lineage, which is a complex soul group comprising aspects of your own higher self. From the usual self to the universe, descending through various levels to your supreme soul. You can think of these guides as higher-level soul family members and members of related soul lineages. They are teachers in physical or non-physical form, saints, masters, and guides including spiritual ranks such as the Melchizedek order, in which you are a member either in this life or in past lives. In addition to these voluntary spiritual guides, you have guides who may or may not be 100% of God's loving light. Those who have decided to help, whether you request them or not. These include disembodied family members. Those who are still lingering on Earth from before, waiting for their next reincarnation. Disembodied entities from your past or present. Those who are still attracted to you after they have died on Earth. Disembodied entities wandering through the archer and ether vibration. Those seeking a human soul to attach to it in hopes of sensing energy and light. Such souls have forgotten how to return to their own light and are essentially living off your light. Disembodied entities intending to attach themselves to you for the purpose of healing past karma with you. Disembodied entities seeking revenge for. Disembodied or sovereign entities seeking to control or block your energy for their personal purposes. These may include extraterrestrial entities or archer entities craving power, control, and domination over other souls. Thought forms emitted by certain beings and thought forms emitted by your own subconscious. Thought forms are not actually spiritual guides, but in some cases can mimic spiritual guides, depending on the intensity and characteristics of each specific thought form. Your subconscious can project images of spiritual guides and convince you that you are talking to real beings, when in fact they are products of your own thoughts. So, how to know the difference between thought forms projected by you or by others and genuine spiritual guides? When you are more practiced in connecting with spiritual guides, you will quickly recognize the difference between genuine spiritual guides and similar images. As you explore and understand your own subconscious, as well as emotional and psychological patterns, you will know yourself thoroughly, including all the ways you are triggered by external events and relationships. By observing during meditation, the way the lower levels of the self compete for attention, you will note their energy as they interfere with attempts to connect with your spiritual guides. In summary, let us examine the difference between your ego thoughts and your higher self thoughts. First, is the thought primarily related to your personal life? Is it concerned with the safety or health of the physical body? Does it involve some form of seeking approval from others? Are you worried about what others think? Does the thought create feelings of fear? Does it involve a lot of tactics and plans? Is there anxiety about the future driven by? Does it evoke uncomfortable emotions in the thought? Does the thought seem to be trying to convince you of something? Is there a feeling that you are clinging to a certain desired lifestyle and refusing to look at things that seem threatening to that lifestyle? It is possible that a negative entity is triggering these thoughts in you. But more often, those thoughts are coming from your own subconscious or ego. We recommend using a subconscious reprogramming meditation or a technique to invoke your higher self. Like the techniques mentioned here, this is a way to minimize the interference of the subconscious and ego. You can also learn from these questions when exploring the difference between real and imagined danger. Ask yourself objectively, do our thoughts have any worthy qualities? If you are not in an emergency situation or need to take urgent action, then these thoughts are certainly negative habits hindering your ability to perceive clearly. Ultimately, can you trust your higher self to keep you safe from real danger? Your higher self will speak politely, quietly, and directly without causing disturbance or anxiety. Higher thoughts tend to unify and simplify reality, while lower thoughts tend to complicate everything. You will feel lighter, more open, and more energetic. At the same time, you also feel calm as when listening to your higher self, you will simply know what is right for you. There will be no doubt running through your mind. Information from your higher aspect tends to appear in thoughts unexpectedly, without fanfare, and requires little or no effort. If you hear a voice, it will not try to convince you of anything but gently reminds you to let go and trust. Above all, the emotion in your body will tell you who is speaking. To distinguish between your own thoughts, higher or lower, and ideas from spiritual guidance, we recommend you carefully read the following sections about calling upon spiritual guidance. Calling upon them correctly will eliminate much confusion. Benevolent spiritual guides will be pleased to help you gain clarity. They will speak correctly and simply about themselves and the universe. There will be no deceptive ideas or contradictory information. Even if they are mistaken about something, they will admit it comfortably without justification, defense, or excessive explanation. These are the steps to call upon spiritual guides in a context where many spiritual guides may attract your attention. It is important to start by calling for spiritual and psychic if you are not influenced by negative entities about to attack. The best way to call for protection is to request God's loving, golden light to fill you and surround you in a protective shell. It may take much meditation and calling before you become aware of your spiritual guides. They may appear as images in the mind. You may hear verbal messages or simply sense a different energy than before. With more practice, you will learn to recognize the difference between the energy of spiritual guides and the energy of your higher self and subconscious. Most souls have multiple levels of spiritual guides. The typical list of spiritual guide levels for an individual soul includes 1 or 3 main guides, usually at density 7. 5 primary soul family members, plus a twin soul. These beings may come from various levels, but typically from densities 6 to 8. A small group of angels at density 7, 1 or more archangels and ascended masters at density 8. 1 or more density 9 soul complex groups, 1 or more density 10 soul complex groups. 1 or more density 11 soul complex groups, in some cases co-creative beings with God at density 12. Additionally, some souls are guided by deceased family members. If these members have high evolutionary understanding from past, they can support sovereign beings from etheric and celestial realms from densities 5 to 9. However, those family members have many unresolved emotional and mental issues, or have not evolved beyond density 3 thinking. They may assist from a disembodied state in astral realms, meaning they have limited understanding and ability to support your evolution. When calling for protection, the best practice is to request only those energies, entities, and thought forms that are 100% identical to God's loving light, and all are permitted to enter your space. This requirement automatically excludes entities that have not evolved beyond density. This does not mean you cannot connect with departed loved ones who are in a lower vibration. It only means their energy will have little or no effect on you if they are not sufficiently evolved. You may be asked to help their lost soul fragments find their way back to the parent soul, which is always in the loving light of God. This is called bringing the departed back to the light. All of you have a parent soul that is always safe in the loving embrace of God's light. You have the ability to bring that parent soul into your physical body while on earth. Doing so leads to what spiritualists call God consciousness. Most souls on earth find it very difficult to bring the parent soul into the physical body. For this reason, there are some preparatory and intermediate stages that your soul often performs to make the process easier, such as opening the channel to connect with your higher self, using assistance from your higher self and spiritual guides. This includes special arrangements with other souls, in what is often called channeling and partial soul transfer, topics we will soon address. In the following episodes, we will distinguish between disembodied entities and sovereign entities. For now, understand that disembodied entities are fragments of a soul that is separated from the parent soul, and sovereign entities are the parent souls of souls with smaller soul fragments somewhere in the universe. Do not worry about your ability to understand this concept at the present time, as many confusions will become clearer as you read deeper into this book. You have the right as a sovereign being on earth to accept or reject your spiritual guides. Sometimes you have well-intentioned spiritual guides who wish the best for you, but they cannot provide what you need for the next stages on your evolutionary path. You may have evolved beyond them, or simply be heading in a different direction away from their area of expertise. Kind, benevolent, and loving spiritual guides may be a little sad when you begin to announce that their services are no longer needed, but they will not protest or become angry. They understand they are going where they are most needed. They do not cling to receiving approval from you or anyone. Therefore, they will sincerely respect your request to step back and make way for other spiritual guides more suited to your soul essence. In some cases, they may arrange for new guides to replace their position. In other cases, you can proactively call upon the guides you wish to work with. It is best to call upon your higher self to help you replace spiritual guides. If any spiritual guide causes difficulty when you want them to leave, you may need to use a powerful process to remove them, such as calling upon white light instead of yellow light and removing all negativity. Whenever your spiritual guide tries to impose their views or will upon you, this is a sign that they are not fully aligned with God's loving light. In episode 4 of Soul Unification, let us summarize how to unify the 6 lower levels of your being. We, Sans higher self, will request beloved Lee to perform this part. Now goodbye and wish everyone a happy day. Please subscribe to the Dark Truth Files channel to watch the latest videos.